Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. 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 Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Lama Life livestream event with Lama Tsultrim Allione. We hope you are all well and safe. My name is Dreame, and I'm joining you from Poland. At Tara Mandala, we are committed to being a welcoming, open, and safe community for practitioners and students of all cultures, races, religions, genders, sexual orientations, age, ability, and circumstances. As we take our seats and settle ourselves, taking a few deep breaths, let us acknowledge the land we're sitting on as the ancestral home of indigenous people and generate a feeling of gratitude for all those who walked on and cared for this land before us. Tara Mandala Retreat Center is located on the land which was occupied by the Anasazi ancestral Puebloan people until 1125, and then by Ute, Dine, and Apache people who lived and hunted in the area. It's now known as Pagosa Springs, Colorado. Let us also cultivate a heartfelt feeling of appreciation for all the many beings, near or far, seen or unseen, who make it possible for us to be here today. This includes our families and friends, our communities and natural ecosystems, as well as our fellow practitioners and teachers. May our time together today be of benefit to and relieve sufferings for all beings everywhere, without one exception. It's such a pleasure for me to hand it over to Lama Tsultrim Allione. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. Greetings. Sorry about my boring background. I'm in an Airbnb in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm on my way to Tara Mandala for the cremation of the precious Lama Wangdu Rinpoche. So I've been gradually acclimatizing to the altitude in Albuquerque. It's about 5,000 something. Today I'm going to Farmington, New Mexico. That's a little higher. And then ultimately to Tara Mandala. See how it goes. As you may know, I had some trouble with the altitude, which is why I left. So this is a kind of experiment to go back. I hope you are all well today. I'm going to open up my comments so I can see. Oh, from southern Brazil. Wow. And Germany. Starting with people far away. Cassandra from Oregon. Hi. You know what I was thinking today? I was thinking, I wonder what everybody else is drinking as they're listening to Lama Live. Let's ask everyone what they're drinking. If you are drinking something, because I'm actually drinking two things. I was like, I wonder what everybody else is drinking. So I have green tea, a really good green tea from Andrew Weil's website, Matcha. Green tea, when you drink it, you just actually really feel how good it is for you. So it's that powdered sencha green tea. And then I'm also drinking a decaf coffee. That's not so healthy. But yeah, oh, this is fun. Water with lemon, that's my favorite thing to drink when I teach. Apple juice, oh, Diet Coke, terrible, yes, but that's the truth. Ginger ale, oh, wow, this is actually interesting. Smoothie, a detox smoothie. It tastes delicious. Wow. It's kind of like a little window into everybody's world, to ask a question like that. Peppermint tea, coffee earlier, now I'm drinking water. Yeah, because coffee's dehydrating. So in Italy, they actually serve a glass of water when you have coffee. Matcha with lion's mane, that's very healthy. Sugar-free iced tea, well, that could be okay. Chamomile, that's good. Mushrooms, mushroom tea. Kukicha. Oh, is that like barley tea? I think, Penelope. Bulletproof coffee. Blue tea. I've never heard of that. Pellegrino, my favorite. Okay, let's raise bodhicitta, our heartfelt connection with each other. And we can connect with everybody out there with their various drinks. And raise bodhicitta, feeling our community here online and all the love we share with each other. And generating the intention to be together this morning for the benefit of all beings. So I think this morning for our meditation, I'm going to do an extended bodhicitta, starting with relative bodhicitta and then gradually going into absolute bodhicitta. We always do a short meditation in the beginning of Lama Life. So continuing with that sensation, and it's actually a physical sensation that you get when you generate relative bodhicitta, and that sensation is in the center of your chest, in the middle of your body. And what's being activated is the heart chakra, which is also the seat in Dzogchen, in the physical body, the seat of what's called the Shono Bunku, or the youthful vase body, which doesn't mean like youth as opposed to age, but the body beyond time. And it's the seat of awareness in the body, primordial awareness. So the heart is very important, the heart center. And that's why so many mantras in sadhana practices turn either clockwise for the masculine deities or counterclockwise for the feminine deities around the seed syllable in the heart, because it activates this place in our body. So let's also touch our heart center, or the outside of it and the outside of our body, just to bring our attention there. And really take a moment to be with this presence in our physical body and our subtle body. And when we generate bodhicitta, it's a love. It's a feeling of love for all beings. We're one of many billions of humans on this planet. All those humans want to be happy. All those humans want to be free of suffering. So let's generate the intention that they are, that whatever suffering they have is being lifted. Sending that love from our hearts out, not only to human beings, now send it to all the four-legged beings, all the four-leggeds. That's how the Native Americans speak about animals, the four-leggeds. Some little small four-leggeds and some very big four-leggeds and everything in between. And they also all want to be happy. Some are in danger, some are captured and enslaved. Some are free, some are happy, some are being mistreated. Wherever they are, may they have happiness and the causes of happiness. And now, all the beings with multiple legs. We have some beings that have up to 100 legs or even thousands. So let's send our bodhicitta aspiration to those beings. The many-leggeds. And then the creepy crawlies, all the other kinds of beings, insects, also sentient beings. Really powerful love streaming from our hearts. Love and compassion. Connection. And then to all the beings without legs, like snakes. May they have happiness and be free of suffering as well. And all the winged ones, the ones that fly. All around the world, imagine all the birds, the little tiny ones in the jungles, to the big soaring condors, eagles. pelicans, flamingos, ostriches. Oh, the beautiful colored ones. And then all the little nondescript brown ones. So many birds, and they're such magical beings. And of course, all the chickens, ducks, cormorants. And then to any being that we have somehow forgotten, not mentioned, feeling like waves of love coming out of our hearts. And then turning to look at where that love is coming from. Where is that being generated from? Feel it in our hearts. Where does it come from? And when we do that, we begin to experience absolute bodhicitta. Bodhicitta beyond concepts. Looking at the one who generates compassion. What is that? Awareness that comes out of. When we look, we don't find a thing. And just rest in that not finding. Absolute bodhicitta is beyond words and concepts. It's our link into the ultimate. Thank you, everyone. So we have relative bodhicitta that has two aspects, aspirational bodhicitta and bodhicitta of action. Aspirational is like thinking we want to do something or go somewhere. And action is we actually go. We do something. So we might wish to help sentient beings as we do when we generate bodhicitta. And then we might actually go and help somebody in a real way. And that's relative bodhicitta of action. And then we have absolute bodhicitta, which by its very nature is beyond words. It's linked to relative bodhicitta because relative bodhicitta is the expression of absolute bodhicitta. Does that make sense? Yeah. So just to update you a little bit about what's happening with Lama Wangdu today, the kudung, which is the word that is used to describe the body of a deceased Lama, the kudung, quite a while ago, when he came out of tukdam, which is the meditation that Lamas go into at the time of death, and they stay there for sometimes many days. The body doesn't break down. The heart stays warm, but technically that person is dead. Lama Wangdu was in tukdam for 20 days. I personally have never heard of that long a tukdam. Sometimes lamas are in it, but then they break the tukdam because they have to move the body, or for some other reason they break it. Like with Namkha Norbu Rinpoche, he was in tukdam, but they broke the tukdam because the body had to be sort of taken care of because of Italian law. They ended up embalming him. People came from the Vatican because that's what they do with popes. And his body was embalmed and then put inside a stupa. I don't know what it looks like now, but I saw it about a week after, and it looked like he was asleep. In any case, Lama Wangdu's body became very small. He was a big man. He was over 6 feet tall, but he didn't eat for many days before he passed away. Like at least a month, he didn't eat anything. He just drank a little water. And so he was in this process of dematerializing. So his body became very small, and then it was placed in the meditation posture after he left tukdam and wrapped up, and then the crown of the 5 Buddha families was placed on his head, and he was put in the shrine room where they were practicing, and kept there until they left for coming to Colorado from Portland, Oregon. And then I'm not sure exactly how they've done this. I know that there was somebody who had a funeral home who offered to drive him down, but they had to keep him in this box, because he was seated, not lying down. So I'm not sure how they did it. But in any case, he's been in transit now for a few days. And this afternoon, he arrives in Durango, and he will be met up by some people that are flying in, and then there's going to be a caravan from Durango Airport to Tara Mandala with his family, his beloved granddaughter Dechen Tsomo, who was his attendant and closest person for 25 years, and her sister's husband, their children, and so on. And then many Tibetans are coming. So there'll be a caravan coming to Tara Mandala. And then when they get close, they will make contact with the people on the land. And then a fire will be lit by the gate of Tara Mandala. And on that fire will be placed fresh juniper boughs, which will cause smoke. That smoke is called sang, and it's considered to be purifying smoke. And so when he arrives at the gate, everybody who's there, who's been working very hard to prepare for this event now for a month, will be greeting the kudung and the family and everyone else with a kata line. Katas are the white scarves that you hold up like this on your palms. And they'll be lined up there, and he will pass by that kata line, and then be taken winding up the hill to the temple. Then the kudang will be removed from this vehicle that it's in, and in the same way that a lama is brought into the temple, there's a big, huge golden yellow umbrella that's placed over them. There's musical instruments, and they're sort of processed into the temple. And now there's a place that's been created, a mandala seat for the kudang inside the main temple. And then immediately the practice will start again when they're doing the dorsam chupa from the Dujam Tersar lineage. And that's a Vajrasattva practice, and that would be the practice for the cremation as well. So they'll begin that practice, which is what they've been doing in Portland all these days. All the lamas from there will be at Tara Mandala at that point this afternoon, and the practice will start again. And that will happen until Wednesday. Meanwhile, outside, below the front of the temple in the east, a stupa form is being built, being constructed. And I've heard that now they're putting the first layer of plaster on the outside. And so it's going to be like a stupa. He will be placed into the stupa. The kudang will be placed into the stupa. And then there will be a fire underneath. And then offerings will be made through 4 doors on the 4 sides of this stupa. And so it's a jinsik practice, which is a fire puja. And the body of Lama Wangdu is the deity. And so these various offerings, such as oil, grains, fabrics, incense, and so on, will be offered into it with these special tools that are used for jinsik. And while that's happening, there will be a certain practice connected to this dorsam lama chupa practice. And so he will be visualized as a deity as this process happens. Once that's complete, then the ashes are let cool, and then a day or so later, we go through the ashes and see what relics are in the ashes. That's the traditional process. And lots of times you find ring cell in these little spheres of like white little pearls. I know with my teacher, Abu Rinpoche, the ring cell were the 5 colors. They were like bright blue, looked like lapis lazuli, bright red, bright yellow, bright green, and so on. So sometimes there's nothing as well, and they call that Dharmakaya. So we don't know what it will be. It will be live streamed. This event will be live streamed. I believe it will be on the Tara Mandala YouTube channel. It won't be on the Tara Mandala YouTube channel afterwards because the family doesn't want that just while it's happening. And so if you want to participate, you need to be there Wednesday morning, early morning, Colorado time. It will start sometime between 7 and 8 a.m. in Colorado. So that's a little update about that. And it's very rare that there is a cremation in this traditional way of a lama in North America. So we feel it's such a precious thing that we can offer this. Because of the laws in Colorado, you can do your own burial or cremation or whatever you want to do. You have to do a few things legally, but you can do it. So it's wonderful that we can offer this to the family. So there's no fee. You do need to register. I'm seeing some notes about this. Peter, I'm in Albuquerque too, but leaving soon, leaving today. So you need to calculate what time it would be for your time zone. I think we have a time zone calculator link that we can put in here, Stephanie, so you can figure it out. I don't know about if there will be a permanent stupa at Tara Mandala, Alyssa. It will be what the family wants, and they may want to have it in their home. A lot of times you make a small gold stupa and you keep it in your home. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so for today, in terms of teachings, I thought I would do something I've never done before, which is just open it up live for questions and just do a Q&A live for you today. And so the chat is open. I'm going to hope I can answer whatever questions you ask, and I will see what pops up. While I drink my 2 drinks. And Michael also gave me something to eat, which is apparently these famous empanadas they have here. This looks like apple. Oh my God. That is really good. It's kind of like a stuffed donut. Let's see if we have any questions. Okay, this question. What do you see as your purpose in this lifetime as a reincarnation of Machig Labdrön? Well, it's very specific. And I didn't get this assignment until I was 60 years old. But when I got it from her, I realized I had already been doing it since my 20s. She appeared to me in my retreat cabin in 2006. And basically what she said is, you need to find my lineage and you need to reestablish it. And so that led to my trip to Nepal when I met Lama Wangdu. And maybe I'll tell that story since we were talking about Lama Wangdu. So I had this vision in my cabin. Machig appeared riding a white lion in my cabin. She dismounted from the white lion. She transmitted a practice into me, which I teach in Kapala training, level 4. I've only taught it, I believe, once, that practice. After she transmitted that to me, she told me that you have to find my lineage and it's urgent. And she kept emphasizing that it was urgent. And I was in retreat. I believe it was a month-long retreat. And so I thought, am I supposed to leave retreat now and go find his lineage? And I had been teaching on Machig Labdrön and I learned Chud in 1973. And I actually received the transmission for it, 1972, from Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche during the Damnakso Wangs. There was a whole series of empowerments of her lineage and the Shije lineage that I received. And I believe that was the first time I heard her name. In any case, I had been teaching it under Namkhe Norbu Rinpoche since the 80s. And then her story was in Women of Wisdom. And so I became known as a teacher of Chut practice. I first went to her seat in Tibet in 1992. Zangri Kamar had very powerful experience there. And then after this experience in my cabin in October of 2006, I thought I need to go now. And then I told my husband, David, and he said, not now. Finish your retreat. And there was a Lama coming, and he was like, you need to be here to host this Lama. And anyway, it ended up that we went that spring. And in the meantime, I contacted a friend of mine named Carol Dunham, who some of you may know. She lived in Kathmandu for many, many years, anthropologist, and created wonderful businesses for local people there with the herbs of Nepal, soaps and tinctures and so on. So I knew that Carol knew Lama Wangdu, and I knew Lama Wangdu was known for Chud. So I called her in Nepal back in the days when you made phone calls and told her what had happened in retreat. And she said, you have to meet Lama Wangdu. And so when I ended up going was in the spring of 2007 in June. And I took a whole group of people on a pilgrimage. And the first thing we did was go to Kathmandu. And so when we got to Kathmandu, Carol took us to meet Lama Wangdu. And Lama Wangdu invited us to see him do the dance of the Chut, which I had never seen performed. That time, of course, he was a lot younger, but he was still pretty old. And so I believe he was 88 when he died now, and this was in 2007. So yeah, so he took us at night to Pashupatinath, which is a sacred Hindu charnel ground, and he set it all up, and he did the dance with the Chut, where you dance in the four directions, and you sound the Kangling, the Daibon, and you call the Dakinis of the five directions, four plus from the sky. And so then we went to Tibet, and it was in Tibet at that time, Mia, since you asked the question, that where I was recognized when we got to Machig's place. The Lama of Machig's place in Tibet came out to meet our group in a very ceremonious way. And I thought, this is strange. We're basically just kind of like tourists. Of course, we didn't feel we were tourists. We felt ourselves as pilgrims. But in any case, it was very ceremonious with incense and so on. And then asked me to go into the temple and then told me to sit on the throne in the temple at Machig's seat in Tibet. And I thought, that's really weird. That's your seat. I said to the Lama, and he said, no, that's your seat. And I said, no, it's your seat. And that went back and forth for a while. And he would not give up. And so he made me sit there. And then he asked me to teach. And I decided to teach Machig's last instructions. And it just so happened that Jerome Madu was there, who had translated Machig's last instructions for his wonderful book, the Machig Labdrön and the Foundations of Chut. Their last instructions are at the end. And I also put it at the end of my book on feeding your demons, So it's there as well. In any case, a whole series of things happened over a period of 3 days, and lots of signs, rainbows and so on. And then on the final day, he stated, after we had completed, should practice on the beach of this amazing, huge river called the Sangpo, the Brahmaputra. He said, you are an emanation of Machig Labdrön, and I've been watching all the signs, and I had a dream 3 days before you came that a white dakini was coming from the west, and that she was sounding the damaru. The Chud uses the damaru, this drum, loudly. That's why I came to greet you. And then he gave me her relics, which I also didn't want to take. I felt they belonged in Tibet. But he insisted. He said, I've seen so many relics go into that river. The Chinese throwing relics into the river. Take them, they'll be safer. And in fact, right after that were the protests in Tibet around the Olympics that created a huge wave of constriction in Tibet. And many things were thrown into the rivers. So it is good that we have them at Tara Mandala, and we hope to build a stupa around them. But anyway, when we came back to Nepal, Lama Wangdu greeted us again, and then he had me sit in front of him for an 8-hour puja. And then at the end of that, he said, okay, that's the final sign. You are an emanation of Machig Labdrön. And I said, what do you mean the final sign? And he said, well, 3 days before you came back from Tibet, she appeared to me in the sky and she said, in 3 days, I'll be there. And she was with her whole retinue. And then you arrived. And then during the puja, this 8-hour puja, I saw her dissolve into you. So that's the story. And since then, that's Lama Wangdu and I. Oh, that's a nice picture. That's the last time I saw him. He wrote another recognition letter at that visit because there were people who were saying, oh, Lama Wangdu actually never really said that. You just said that. And he got really upset. And, he was like, I'm going to write another letter. And so he did. And yes, it is auspicious, Mia, that telling a story now and going there. And that's also why it's so touching that he will be cremated at Tara Mandala, because also we're dedicated to that lineage. Okay, let's see. What have we got? Question. Does Tara Mandala have any temples in LA? Yes, we do. We have Sanghas, what we call Sanghas, satellite Sanghas, and they're groups of people that gather to practice together in our lineage. And we do have one in southern Los Angeles, somebody named Lisa Erickson, who is an apprentice teacher, runs that Sangha, and we can put the link in the chat here for you. Let's see, what else do we have here? Thank you for taking your seat. Yeah, Hope that it was kind of difficult. So yeah, that's another story. Jeff, I'm looking at yours question, and you're talking about the nature of mind practice and do monks remain in that at all times. And in any practice, generally there's 3 stages: the generation of bodhicitta and refuge at the beginning, the resting in the non-dual state in the middle, and then the dedication of merit at the end. That's called the Dampasum, or the 3 sacreds, or the 3 holies. Whether monks are in that at all times, I doubt it. There's lots of different monks at different levels, and some monks really pretty much only study or just do pujas. Not so many really have teachings on the nature of mind and have extensively practiced them. I think the lamas, yes, the lamas do all have those teachings and would certainly be attempting to stay in it at all times. But to really be able to have that continuity at all times takes a lot of practice, and it's a very high level of realization. And it's wonderful that you're doing it and that it had that impact on you to create a continual process of awareness. The nature of our mind is like a mirror. Think about a mirror and how it remains stainless and unaffected by anything that passes in front of it. In a way, a mirror is also nothing in itself. When you think about it, all kinds of things reflect in it, but it's just a piece of glass that has something painted on the back. So the mind also, when we turn awareness to look at awareness, we don't find a thing, but we feel and experience the presence of everything, of an awareness that has no center, no fringe, no beginning, no end, is luminous and awake. And then the events of our lives are like the reflections in the mirror. And if we can hold that awareness of the mirror as those reflections occur in our lives of events, good things, bad things, friends, challenges, etc. If we stay in the nature of the mirror, we are in our true nature. And that is the essence of the practice. To rest in the nature of the mirror. Think about mirrors like if something beautiful passes in front of and reflects in the mirror isn't any different than if something ugly passes by, right? Or even something terrible could happen in front of a mirror, or something good, and the nature of the mirror doesn't change. So we practice developing a continuity of that level of awareness. And that's the non-dual teachings that I have begun to teach more openly in the last couple of years with the Sahaja teachings, with the Semde teachings I've been giving here to some extent. And I'll be teaching that in various places around this country. In 2024, I'll be teaching it at Omega Institute in June. I believe the dates are the 21st to the 23rd. If that's a weekend, that is it. I'll be teaching it at Hollyhock Farm in Canada in August, the 9th through the 14th. So that's a longer retreat, in-person retreat at the beautiful, beautiful farm retreat center in Canada on an island. So you have to go by boat. And I'll probably teach it also at Esalen Institute in California. That hasn't been scheduled yet. Anyway, I'm teaching that more openly now because I really feel it's so important and shouldn't be a secret. And it's also very important not to just experience it intellectually, but to experience it experientially. And that's why it's kept secret, because it's actually quite easy to understand intellectually, but the actual depth experience of it and the stabilization of that is much harder. And that's why we do all the preparatory practices and nundro and so on. Yeah. Thanks for your question, Jeff. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay. Here's one. I'm pregnant. I will give birth to a baby girl. I'm having a divorce tomorrow from my husband. That's my decision. I'm convinced it's the right thing to do. And I try to make it as peaceful and sacred as could be. But is there any specific advice for me in this situation? Diana, where are you? That looks like maybe a Polish name. It doesn't really matter where you are in terms of what I would say. I'm really glad that you're trying to do this in a peaceful way. And I also think it's important that you trust yourself that this is the right thing to do. Just staying in a marriage because you think if you're having a baby, you should be married is often not a good idea, because it can end up in an abusive relationship, which is toxic for the mother and the baby and the father, really. So I don't know your whole story of your marriage, and it doesn't really matter. But what I would say is, if the father is a safe person, even if you're divorced, try to cultivate a good relationship with him and cultivate him having a good relationship with his daughter. If he wants that, and don't speak badly about him to her, and just do your best to have a good relationship while you are independent. And the other thing is, it's hard having a baby, and it's very hard having one alone. I don't know your economic situation or anything else about your situation, but try to get as much support in place as possible before you have your baby, so you have really backup as much as possible, and others that feel close and responsible and helpful for the baby, so you're not alone. But if you are alone, you can do it. You'll figure it out, and just try to keep your body as peaceful as possible, because things are transmitted through the placenta into the baby. They now know that, through trauma goes as cortisol into the baby from the mother. And sometimes we can't avoid that, and that's just how it is, and that the baby has to somehow deal with that in their life. But if you can avoid it, that's good. And then as soon as your baby is born, say mantras. So the first thing that she hears is Om Tare Tutare Ture Swaha. Maybe singing it. Or Om Mani Padme Hum. Or Om Ahum Vajra Guru Pema Siddhi Hum, the Guru Rinpoche mantra. Whatever mantras you know. If you don't know many mantras, you can also just sing seed syllables or play music of mantras being recited, because mantras are Sanskrit, and Sanskrit is not a human language. It's a language that was delivered from another dimension. They say from the gods, but it really from another dimension into the human race, and it's sacred. That's why we recite the Sanskrit alphabet as a mantra. And so play mantras also as you're nursing your baby and as you're holding her. That sound will be very good for her. And congratulations. I hope it goes well. Yeah, Alyssa, could you advise how to maintain peace of mind and equanimity in these times of so much political polarization? Yeah. Well, I think by thinking about the fact that everybody just wants to be happy, that's all they want. Even those people who are being extremely violent and extremely, provocative in various ways and negative ways, they think that that's going to bring them happiness. And so ultimately that they have to eradicate certain things or whatever to get happiness. So keeping yourself in a state of equanimity, and with that wish, may all beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all beings be relieved from suffering and the causes of suffering. So what that means is the causes of happiness means may they do things that lead to happiness. That's creating causes of happiness, because our actions lead to results. So if you find yourself unhappy, that's a result of your actions. And if you find yourself happy, that's a result of your actions as well. And so create the causes of happiness if you want to be happy. And perhaps the greatest cause of happiness is compassion. And so that's what I would suggest, Alyssa. And that doesn't mean that you can't be active or go to protests or whatever. But if you do, don't hold hate in your heart. You can be fierce without hatred. Yeah. Okay. So I think our time is up, actually. That was so nice to be with you. And yeah, I'll answer just quickly this. Stephanie, it's in BC where I'm going to be. It's called Hollyhock Farm. You can definitely find it. It's definitely not in Ottawa. It's far, far away. And I'll quickly answer Galena's question about other dimensions. Well, we're in the dimension, right? With our senses, we're seeing certain things, we're hearing, and so on. We think this is reality. But think about, like, birds. What are they actually experiencing? We think it looks like what it looks like to us, and that the world is the same world, but are they experiencing the same world? And then think about how big the universe is and how unlikely it is that we are the only sentient beings in the universe. Although it does seem like we're surrounded by quite a few dead planets. Einstein said the likelihood of there not being other life in the solar system and in our universe is as likely as if you ripped up the Paris phone book and you threw it on the ground and it all came back together in order. That's the likelihood that there's not life out there. The other thing is, it's not just life at the vibrational field level that we are. So when I say other dimensions, I often mean a more refined dimension. So that would be a vibrational field that we might not be able to perceive because of the coarseness of our vibrational field and our mind and our limits as human beings. And so there are other dimensions. I know this because I've seen some of them. And also my teacher, Namkha Norpa Rinpoche, visited other dimensions regularly in his dreams, and he was very specific in his descriptions of them. But we're in this one now. And so let's try to do our best in this one. And it is hard. It's really hard. I feel like it's very dangerous now. The world is in a very precarious place. And doing practice for peace is really important. I know a lot of lamas are doing Vajakilaya practice for peace. But in any case, we need to do something, whatever we can. So let's end with a dedication of merit for peace. And whatever merit we have generated together as a community, may we offer that out to benefit all beings in all dimensions at this moment. Thank you, everyone. Great to see you. Lots of love. And see you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lama Tsultrim. It's truly remarkable, I feel, how we as practitioners have the opportunity to regularly connect with you like this and share our questions, doubts, and seek guidance. And you, in turn, graciously provide your wisdom, your open sharing and compassionate presence in the world, Lamala, are truly, truly appreciated. Thank you so much for today. And a big thank you to all of you for coming here to our virtual space to extend your bodhicitta, to rest together and learn directly from Lama Tsultrim so that you can enter your new week with this guidance and see how it changes your being in the world. I just wanted to clarify that if you are willing to participate in the cremation ceremony of Lama Wangdu through the live stream, you do need to register. And I'll once again post a link in the chat. There is no registration fee to view the live stream. But please consider supporting this sacred ceremony. And if you would like to do that, you can make an offering to Venerable Lama Tsering Wangdu Rinpoche's family and ongoing legacy. You can also make an offering to Tara Mandala to help cover the costs of the ceremony when you register. If you would like, you can also sponsor a butter lamp or flowers. And all of these links are available on the page on our website dedicated to the cremation ceremony. And now, following the tradition going all the way back to the time of the Buddha 2600 years ago, you have the opportunity to make an offering of dana to Lama Tsultrim Allione. Dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity. Dana directly recognizes the precious gift of the teacher and the teachings, without which one could not practice the Dharma. If you would like to offer dana, please follow the link you will see in the chat in a moment. And as we close our time together today, let's take a moment to acknowledge the generational caretakers of the land you're sitting on, the indigenous ancestors who were here before us. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to them and others who also make it possible for us to practice here. Our families, co-workers, community, including all beings seen and unseen, who support our practice, and particularly our teachers who skillfully offer us these precious teachings. May all beings, without one exception, benefit and be free from suffering. Thank you, everyone. And we hope to connect again next Sunday.
Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re. Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re.